Yesterday we were saying that after the Buddha has understood the Four Noble Truths by himself fully, he preached the Dhamma so as to make the beings understand, just like himself, the Four Noble Truths fully, with compassionate feeling. It is not realistic if one does not understand the subject, or even if one knows the subject, one is not knowing fully, to preach the Dhamma or to preach the subject to others. As for the Buddha, he discovered the truth by himself with his own practice, with his own practical experience, and with compassionate feeling he preached the truth, which is very realistic. By just hearing this, it is not easy to accept or come to a resolute faith. Only when one undertakes the practice by oneself and understands the truth in one's own right will one be able to understand the truth, and then will have faith in the person, in the individual who has given this truth. By knowing the Dhamma, one will understand the one who has taught the Dhamma. In this way, one will come to accept it and come to a definite resolution and definite faith. Therefore, it is necessary to understand Buddha's quality. If one does not understand the Buddha's quality, or even if one understands, one is not fully understanding it, then one may not be able to cultivate this kind of mindfulness, recollection of the Buddha, by virtue of the difficulty in the cult of personality. But since if one understands by oneself, through one's own practice, one will come to accept it. Hence, it becomes necessary for us to talk about the first of these four guided meditations, Satirāveka Bhavana, namely the recollection of the Buddha, Buddha Nusati Bhavana. Only when one understands the truth, only when one has faith in the one who has revealed the truth, will accept and come to a resolute faith in the truth given by this person, given by this individual. And hence we have to explain this. Today we shall go on explaining this by other means. Not that you all don't have faith in it, but that it is a tradition for us to explain about this subject. This expression is given as the Buddha is tamed and he teaches the Dhamma for the taming of oneself. In Pali, it is expressed in this way: Danta so bhagava dhammataya dhammanti seti. Now, just this is one quality of the Buddha, that the Buddha was tamed, being free from all defilements, by taming himself, and similarly, he preached the sublime Dhamma so that other people also will become tamed and be free of these defilements. So he preached the sublime Dhamma with great compassion, because the Buddha had been tamed, Danta, by himself, and he wanted others to be tamed at the same time. Hence, the sublime Dhamma. Taming Danta means freedom from defilements or taints. If one is not free from taints, one will become untamed, unwholesome, become selfish, and will even indulge in extreme kind of greed, hatred and delusion. Excuse me. And indulging in these extreme kinds of greed, hatred and delusion, one may commit wrongdoing by body, speech and mind. If one is not tamed, then one will become impure. then one will become untamed, gross, and one will torment oneself so that one is undermined, at the same time causing harm to others. All these behaviors, untamed behaviors, are despicable ones. If one accepts or one indulges in these defilements in a small way, one will become untamed in a small way. If one indulges in some ways, in more ways, then one will become more untamed. And if one indulges fully in these defilements, one will become fully untamed. So, tame means freedom from defilements or taints. From where do these defilements arise? From these sense impressions such as seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, and so on. If one is not protecting oneself with the practice of Satipatthana, at the moment of seeing, hearing, and so on, and the sense impressions, then one is bound to be confronted with likes and dislikes, desirable and undesirable objects, in which case one will be overcome by greed or hatred, greed about desirable things, hatred or dislike about undesirable things. And if one is not aware of the wholesome and unwholesome deeds, one will become foolish, stupid, and indulging in this delusion, one may commit wrongdoings. Therefore, these defilements, mainly raga, dosa, moha, craving, aversion, and delusion, which arise from these sense impressions, seeing, hearing, and so on, will happen if one is not practicing to protect oneself with the activation of mindfulness. And Buddha has practiced mindfulness at the sense impressions, seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, and so on. And he did not allow these defilements to arise in his stream of consciousness by protecting his mind with the activation of mindfulness. And if mindfulness arises at all, if these defilements arise at all, they will be overcome with the practice or activation of mindfulness. And in this way, with the practice of mindfulness, one will be able to do away with these obsessive types of defilements, pariyutthana kilesas. And when one cultivates knowledge, progressing along the path of insight, one will be weakening these defilements on a part-time basis, and there will be these stilling of these defilements, or overcoming these defilements on a part-time basis at the moment of this practice of insight, until one is able to realize the path and fruition knowledge of the Noble Ones, when one will be able to eradicate the relevant kilesas to the point of no return in order to achieve the ultimate peace. When one is free from kilesas, defilements, one's behaviors will become general, blameless, pure, and peaceful. Then one's behaviors will become lovable. So Buddha has practiced by himself, and since he has tamed by himself, he preached the sublime Dhamma with compassionate feeling, in order that all beings will become tamed. Now the yogis are practicing this kind of practice, Satipatthana Bhavana, and in a way, in their own right, they are taming themselves. About this purity and blamelessness of behaviors, as for although we are practicing to become tamed in our own right, so long as we are ordinary worldlings or ordinary beings known as Puthujana. Puthujana is said to be thick with defilements, because hence they are included under untamed individuals. They are not listed as tamed individuals. In the case of Purujanas, ordinary worldlings, there are two kinds of ordinary beings, namely Andha Purujana, the blind worldling, and Kalyana Purujana, virtuous worldling. As for the Andha, the first one, who is blind worldling, he is not aware of what is to be abstained and what is to be observed. Not aware of commission or permission. Not knowing what to abstain from and not knowing what to observe. And one is not aware of the nature of mind and body, nor the conditionality, nor the universal characteristics of mind and body. They are said to be still stupid, unaware of this nature of these phenomena. If one understands theoretically at least the nature of mind and body and their conditionality, then one is, especially if one is practiced to discern mind and body, then one is said to have become Kalyana Purujana, the virtuous worldling, but not yet Ariya. Ariya means pure and noble. If one becomes Ariya, the noble one, Ariya means Parisuddha, that means pure. If one is pure, one is noble or highly, Uttama. So Ariya is a person, a pure and noble person, individual. Then one is said to become tamed. And there are four kinds of Ariya. Sorapana, that is the first path. Sagragami, second path. Anagami, the third path. And Arhat, the fourth and final path. Now as for the Sorapana, he has eradicated the defilement, the gross form of defilements, which would pull him down to the states of loss. That means he is free from the gross forms of greed, hatred and delusion, beginning with Sakaya, skeptical doubt, and the view of individuality, and so on. However, he has still other refined defilements as yet, but he does not have any more these gross forms of defilements which will pull him down. He is free from transgressive defilements. And this much is good enough. And if one has become the second stage, that is Sagragami, one is able to eradicate the finer forms of Kama Raga, sensual lust, and anger, dosa. And when one realizes the third path and becomes Anagami, one becomes more refined and be able to overcome sensual lust and anger, dosa, totally, so that he is free from sensual desires and he is free from anger or aversion. And if one becomes Arahant, the final path, then one is able to eradicate the remaining defilements. There will be no more defilements left in him or her. He or she becomes fully pure, and he or she is said to be a tamest. Thus, his or her physical, verbal, mental behaviors will become very gentle. However, he or she will still have these tendencies of the past, which had happened in him or her when she was overcome by defilements. This is known as vasana, tendencies of the past. But he or she will be free from the gross form. He or she will be free from impurities. And that's why it is said that taming means becoming Ariya. When one becomes Ariya, one is said to become tamed. Once we become tamed, we become Ariya, or once we become Ariya, become tamed. So in order to become tamed, not become Ariya, we are practicing the noble path of eight constituents or eightfold path. Only when one is able to practice eightfold path fully will one become Arya, pure and noble individual. So in order to become Arya, one has to practice these two steps known as Mula Maganga, the preliminary path, and Poba Bhaga Maganga, the forerunner path, these two things. As for the preliminary or basic path, we have to possess the basic right view or understanding of karma and karma result. That good begets good and bad begets bad. If we perform good things, we are going to get good results. If we perform or commit bad things, we are going to realize bad results. That is the basic understanding of karma and karma result. And understanding that karma is one's own property, such is Mula Maganga, the right view of karma and karma result, known as Karma Sakata Samadhi, the right view of karma and karma result, or karma as one's own property. If one takes wholesome food, one will get wholesome results. If one takes unwholesome food, one will not get wholesome results. It may become even poisonous. If we practice good, pure, affable, lovable behaviors, then we are bound to get good results. If we commit unwholesome deeds, we're going to get unwholesome results. Such is the basic view or understanding. If we know that a task and something is unwholesome, by knowing that, we can abstain from committing that, so that we'll be free from harm. If we know that something is good, such and such a thing is good to be done, then we observe that or practice that, we're going to get good benefit out of that. Such is the basic understanding of karma and karma results, known as Mula Maganga, the preliminary or basic path. As much will give you good background, good understanding, good grounding, so that you can continue to practice based on this understanding. Practice Ubha Bhaga Maganga, that is the second step, the forerunner path. The forerunner of the noble path, Arya Magga, namely the mundane or worldly eightfold path. Which is what the yogis are practicing now, namely the four foundations of mindfulness, Satipatthana, so that one becomes fulfilled with the insight knowledge. With Sila Maganga, the morality path, we can overcome the gross forms of defilements, Videkamakilesas, which can arise in our body and speech. And with the morality path, with the practice of virtue, we are set to purify ourselves of these physical and verbal misbehaviors, the gross forms of defilements. And with the practice of Samadhi Maganga, the concentration path, or the concentration group, by noting every arising. When we are noting rising and falling, we are activating our mindfulness with the application of energy and proper aiming, focusing. By cultivating mindfulness, we deepen our concentration momentarily, so that the mind falls calm and collected on the object of attention momentarily. With the application of the three wholesome states, namely Viriya, Sati, Samadhi, energy, mindfulness and concentration, with energy, we are overcoming, we're not allowing these defilements to arise in our stream of consciousness. Instead, we're opening the way to wholesome deeds. With the application of these three wholesome mental states, Viriya, Sati, Samadhi, energy, mindfulness and concentration, we are developing wholesome deeds. We are overcoming the obsessive forms of defilements, pariyavtana kilesas, which can arise in our mind. Such is the practice of Samadhi Khanda, concentration group, so that the obsessive defilements have no chance of arising in our stream of consciousness. We are free from kilesas, defilements in our mind. As such, we are said to be tamed. And with the practice of virtue or morality, sila, we are overcoming the gross forms of defilements by body and speech. And with the practice of concentration, we are overcoming the obsessive kinds of defilements. We are doing this on a part-time basis. We are taming ourselves on a part-time basis. When, during the activation of mindfulness, your noting mind is concurrent with the object of attention, knowing the true nature of the objects noticed, you are said to be overcoming or eradicating or uprooting the latent tendencies of defilements. However, we are not doing it totally, but we are eradicating it at the moment of practicing this mindfulness. As one is cultivating the insight knowledge, we are just overcoming these latent tendencies. In this way, with the sila, morality, we overcome the gross forms, and with the concentration, we are overcoming the obsessive forms of defilements, and with knowledge or wisdom, we are overcoming the latent tendencies of defilements. Such is the practice of Pobabhaga Maganga, the preliminary the forerunner path, which is in essence the Satipatthana Bhavana, the practice of mindfulness, which the yogis are doing now, so that they will be free from defilements at the moment of seeing, hearing, tasting, touching and so on. Thus, they are free from defilements on a part-time basis. They are said to be tamed on a part-time basis. And we are doing this in order to become tamed fully. And to become tamed fully, we have to tame ourselves on a part-time basis, on a temporary basis, momentary basis. Only when we are fulfilled with this part-time basis, we will be able to realize the full-time attainment of Ariya Mega, that is, you become fully tamed. Now the yogis are taming themselves for the practice of mindfulness. First, with Mula Meganga, the basic or preliminary path, that is the right understanding of karma and karma result, and with the practice of the Eightfold Path, that is Pobabhaga Meganga, the forerunner path. And it is a good thing that they are doing it. They are said to be taming themselves, Danta, at the very moment of the practice of Eightfold Path, that is Pobabhaga Meganga. They are said to be tamed, and this you can judge from your own practical experience. Later on, you will be able to understand more and more in the course of the practice and in the course of the talks. So we become full-time basis, to be tamed full-time basis. It is essentially to practice these two stages, Mula Mega and Pobabhaga Mega. And so that when one comes into contact with objects which is not desirable, then one may be reactive. For example, when one is confronted with things which may induce or which may cause greed or anger or other defilements. If one does not practice the Dhamma, one will become a reactive, one will be very sensitive to such objects which can cause greed or which can cause hatred or delusion and so on. When these objects arise, if one does not practice the Dhamma in the beginning, then one will be very reactive and sensitive at once. One will react at once. If one has practiced Mula Meganga, the basic path, and preliminary Ubhavaga Meganga, the Prafurana path, even on a part-time basis, because one is able to energize one's mind, even if one is able to overcome these gross defilements on a part-time basis and become tamed, if one builds momentum, then one will be able to develop it, so that even if one is confronted with such undesirable objects, one will not be reactive, one will not be sensitive to such objects. And even if one comes across such objects which can cause greed or hatred, one will not react at once. Even if one reacts, then one will be able to overcome very easily. And when one becomes Ariya, pure and noble, then one will not react at all, because one becomes tamed. Just like when a metal is freed of its impurities, like steel, when the iron is converted into steel, it is not fragile, then you can use it for many purposes, because it is free of impurities. In this regard, there's a story about one monk who went to the Buddha during the Buddha's time, and he wanted to take meditation lessons from the Buddha to be liberated from existential suffering. And he requested the Buddha to give this method of practice. Now, in those days, in the beginning, mostly those people who come from the ordinary Brahmana Vada, that is doctrine of Brahma, who has been holding this doctrine of Brahma, that is, they believe in the Creator, in the Mahabrahma, the great Brahma as a creator. But this is called Brahma Vada, Brahma doctrine. And those who are not who are not free from such doctrines, it becomes difficult for the Buddha to teach them right away. So first of all, the Buddha gave this lesson, namely Kamma Sakada Samadhi, the right view of Kamma and Kamma result, that good becomes good and bad becomes bad, and also that is Mula Meganga, and the practice of morality. Although these Brahmins practice their own moral practice, they are not so different. They are different from what the Buddhists are practicing. So the Buddha had to give them the correct moral practice. So in the practice of the Dhamma, it is necessary to have the right view or understanding. In this case, Kamma Sakada Samadhi, Mula Meganga, the basic path, that is the right view of Kamma and Kamma results. That is the first thing to be grounded upon. And then one has got to be fulfilled with the morality, the practice of morality. Then only one will be able to undertake the practice of Satipatthana. So those people who have had other denominations, other views, or beliefs had to go through these two things, that is Kammasakata Samadhi and Sila. Otherwise they're weak in the right view, Samadhi. If they are weak in right view, then if they are also weak in Sila, they will not be able to undertake the practice. They will be just wasting time. So first of all, it is necessary to undertake these two things, namely Mula Meganga, the basic path or preliminary path, and morality Sila. Then only one will be able to undertake the practice of four foundations of mindfulness, Satipatthana, to become tamed. That is what the Buddha taught this monk. Nowadays also, if one has had other faiths or denominations, or even some traces of beliefs other than Buddhism, if they may be weak in Mula Meganga, the right understanding of karma and karma result, and also morality practice, Sila. So it is necessary to be strong in these two things. Otherwise, they will not be able to cultivate samadhi, concentration, nor wisdom, panya. Even if they do, samadhi and panya, concentration and wisdom, will become weak. So this is how the Buddha first taught this monk when he came to ask for a meditation lesson. And the Buddha has tamed by himself. After having become tamed, he tamed others. That is, so that he preached the Dhamma, so that others will become tamed by himself with compassionate feeling. And this is the explanation on this stanza. We shall continue this tomorrow.